What is your recommended professional team and what is their role?
The key thing here is that you will need a professional team to do the project well, de-risk it and all those sort of things.
It's not just the theory of planning, it's the process of planning, right?
Yeah.
It's the process of what to do, when to do it, how to do it, what to challenge. Aligned with why it's gone from BRRR to BDRR.
Is you want the right type of people to do the right sort of project, because you also have a budget to manage and you need to bring it within that budget. So yeah, you want someone that's obviously fair, has a good relationship with the builder and gets the best out of him.
Hi everyone, just before we get going with today's podcast, just a quick announcement that our book is now live on Amazon. If you go and search for Financial Freedom at BDRR, you'll find a book that describes the mindset, strategies, systems that we've put together to deliver over 50 projects in 5 years. We launched it in 2025 and it went to number 1 in 3 separate categories on the bestseller list. So hopefully you'll find some real good value out of it. And just one more time, Financial Freedom, BDRR on Amazon.
Yeah, the BDR evolution is changing the game.
Well, that's the full fact. If you want to be picky. Yeah, go and find it. Hi folks, and welcome back to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Today, we're going to have one of our technical episodes where we're going to be discussing how to build your team for your buy, develop, refinance and rent projects. This is part of the book that we wrote in and released in November 2026, which is the Financial Freedom, the BDRR Property Evolution is Changing the Game. You can find that on Amazon. There's certainly some systems and documents in there that will support this particular episode. We've also done some other technical episodes on how to find good builders and so on and so forth like that are earlier in the podcast chapters and again in the book. So we'd recommend if you go and check those out if this is something you're about to start. But with me as always, and very well positioned to answer these questions, having done so many BDRR projects, is Tim Witt. Hi, Tim.
Hello.
So using an example of a conversion of a house or commercial property into, let's say, a 7-bed HMO, what is your recommended professional team that you would need, and what is their role in that? Because there's some obviously professions which people don't know what they are.
Understand what they do. Yeah. So the key thing here is that you will need a professional team to do the project well, de-risk it and all those sort of things.
And this is aligned with why it's gone from BRRR to BDRR. This is one of the fundamentals is to what.
And then on the flip side, the thing to caveat or balance out with it is you want the right type of people to do the right sort of project, because you also have a budget to manage and you need to bring it within that budget and do a good job. So
that's a good point. So you can have somebody who has the title of this, but even that could be very, very varied in terms of
very, very simple one. So like even project manager as an example, a project manager that manages big high-rise developments with a big team and office setup and all this sort of stuff, their rates are going to be too high for a 7-bed HMO conversion. And also their skill set probably isn't as suited because they're used to dealing with big development teams and stuff like that.
Internal project manager.
Yeah.
Same for maybe an architect who does project management.
Yeah.
They're all suited for different things.
Yes, architects, planning consultant, all these sort of people. So yeah, you need the right person, the right price. That they do these sort of projects day in, day out. It's their niche because they're going to be suitable. So that's one key thing to make sure I get the right people. So if I just run through the list of people. So for this size project, the first person, as always, has to be your consultant project manager.
Tell me why. What do you mean by consultant project manager?
So consultant project manager or a client-side project manager is someone that is, they're not project managing for the builder specifically. They're basically managing everything on behalf of the developer, so they can, they'll manage the overall design teams and the builder, run tender processes, monitor the works on site and all these sort of things. But they're not ordering plasterboard and stuff like that for the build teams, and they're not coordinating the trades on site because that's for the build contractor to manage. So when you've also got project managers that would be, say, construction project managers, they're working for the builder as such. They're making sure the trades are coming to site when they need to, the materials are ordered as needed, and all those sort of things. So they're managing that and they're making sure that they're getting all those works done within the builder's budget for a bit of profit and stuff like that for the build contractor. So yeah, they can be, even for this size job. And a lot of investors do get this confused.
Yeah, so the project manager on your side is representing you.
Yes.
And is there to ideally save you money.
Yeah, your eyes and ears. So
project manager on the builder side is there to spot where there's problems in the program.
Well, they just
not those problems, but also to highlight where variations might be required.
Yeah, that's right. So by making the building company a profit, they'll protect that profit by, charging a variation for something that they haven't quoted for or within the contract.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're not trying to sue you or whatever, but they just need to make their company a profit. Whereas the client side of the consultant project manager will make sure that, the contract's in place that's fair and it's very clear on what's included, not include, all those sort of things. And, they're also,
project managers sometimes get this wrong though, because I know from one of our industry colleagues recently had a project manager appointed. That project manager seemed to side with the builder.
Yeah.
Even though they were represented.
So what you have to be conscious of is that some project managers just want an easy life and stuff like that. And sometimes the easiest thing is just to be a bit lazier and just agree with the builder and stuff like that. So yeah, you want someone that's obviously fair, has a good relationship with the builder and gets the best out of him, but not too much so that they're not protecting your risk and things like that. It's a real balance and it's a skill set and again, that comes down to the right person.
Manager, having Christmas Day together, that's not a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want the builder to work with that project manager and build a good relationship.
Yeah.
But they got to know where the line is and you don't want to cross that line because then it's too friendly. So yeah, that's their things to look for when you're looking for that professional. So right, I'll start with the project manager. This size project, I wouldn't necessarily employ a separate quantity surveyor. So what a quantity surveyor does is they manage the costs. So they could work for a building company as well as independently. So they might put a cost plan together for the developer, and then they'll do like valuation checks on site, say what the builder should get paid. They'll assess things like variations. But for this size project, a good project manager or a good consultant project manager should be able to do the dual role.
Yeah.
So they should be able to do those valuations. They should know what the budget should be. They should be able to do a bit of a cost plan.
Yeah, because at this level you can see it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not, the quantum isn't big enough.
So traditionally in the UK, and this is why I say as well, because traditionally in the UK, they are split roles. There's a project manager that manages the general works we talked about, and then there's a quantity surveyor that manages the costs. Where I come from in Australia, they're not they're a little bit dual roles, but project managers should do both. And even the training I did at university was like, you need to be able to manage costs and the works. So I'm a bit more biased from that perspective because that's how I was brought up. But I think as you get to the bigger projects, it gets much harder to be able to do both. As
soon as you're having to order gypsum board for 10 plus flats or 15 flats, and you need to be checking over these things, you're probably looking at a separate.
That's when you split the roles a bit more. Yeah. All right, so that's very, very key. So also
the key concern there is if your project manager immediately says, I need a QS at that list level, that's a red flag.
I think so, because then they're used to doing bigger projects where there's a QS all the time, so they might not be suitable for your project. So yeah, fair point. So 7 meter high, you'll need planning permission. So
generous.
I would recommend to always have a planning consultant, even if you've got a lot of experience, even if the architect does it a lot, 100% you need a planning consultant because they are more of an expert in that field, and there will be challenges for planning regardless if you do.
It's not just the theory of planning; it's the process of planning, right?
Yeah,
it's the process of what to do, when to do it, how to do it, what to challenge, what not to challenge, how to put things forward, how not to put things forward,
and knowing the process, so the validation process, what's needed, the consultation process of public when that ends, how to respond to those things, how to challenge those things,
how to overcome an objection.
As good as your architect is, they very likely they don't have the skill sets to do that as well as most planning consultants. So that's that. And then moving on to the architect, so they can do things like your planning drawing, your building regulation drawings, building regulation specification.
The best use of an architect can sometimes be in feasibility. So if you're getting an architect in it early, your architect's and your planning consultant early enough, then a feasibility could be drawn up. Which is very good, especially in some of the
like a concept type plan. So with the architects as well, so this size project is like a little bit in between. So you've got fully REBA qualified architects that could do this project, or you've got sort of architectural technicians that could do this project as well. The bigger ones, you definitely want more of the fully qualified REBA type architects, but this size, you could use either, but your REBA architects are probably going to be a bit more expensive.
It comes down to how much challenge you have as well. So if you log on to the local planning portal and you can see that there's been rejections based on technical reasons, and some of the concerns laid out by the planning control committee or the planning officers have been due to layout or consistency in against licensing and so on and so forth. Then what you'll find is, from a technician's point of view, they're going to draw it up to building regulation standards. You may need to critique and comment quite heavily against and go backwards and learn that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas with a Reba person, you can probably feel a bit safer that they're going to understand the technical parts of that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's probably where that extra spend is definitely worth it.
Yeah, that's what you got to weigh up as well. And that is a balance again. For this sort of project, you will need building control on board. So we use private building control. You could also use council.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons of each. I suppose the thing to consider with private is they've given you a fee. They are a business. They're not going to spend more time than they need to. So they're not going to go over the top maybe as much as a council, say, because councils, they've just, depending how busy they are, is how much time they're going to spend on your job and how much grief they're going to give potentially, because it's not so much about the fee and the profit because they're not private. So they're just some things you can consider with that. But yeah, we use private for these designs. So you need mechanical and electrical drawings.
Yeah.
So you can get a consultant that's like a mechanical electrical engineer to do those drawings for you and the full designs for it. Or sometimes your architects or interior architects can do the layouts for it, but then the performance designs could be from an M&E consultant or engineer, or depending on your contractor, the contractor could do the M&E calculations and things like that if you trust that. So there's a few different ways.
Conversion type here as well, right? So depending on building regulations. So if you're doing something which is a completely different unit, so if you go from a commercial unit to a residential unit, it's more likely you would definitely need this part. If you're doing a residential dwelling to a residential dwelling, you might just need an M&E concept layout and that kind of stuff, and maybe get a consultant to sign it off or something like that. But in terms of like, if you're having to put in, fire regulation for residential use, which might include AOV vents and things like that weren't needed before, then you definitely need it.
Yeah. Well, that moves on to someone else, another team member you may need. So for a 7-bed, because it's sui generis, you may need a fire strategy. So a fire engineer to do a full fire strategy. If you get that done once, you could potentially repeat that on similar designs. Bigger project, you'll definitely need a full fire strategy done by a fire engineer. It's not usually that expensive, but it is important. And hopefully they can design things a bit more economically viable, if that makes sense. So instead of building control saying you got to put sprinklers in, they might say, well, actually, if we did put this lobby in and this AOV, which is automatic opening vent, then we don't need sprinklers or whatever. So even though you're paying a bit for it, hopefully it saves you money on the build by doing that. So they're key things you've got to look at. We talked about, as just before as well, interior architects as well. So they can do, internal layouts. They can do full finishes specifications for all materials needed and all those sort of things. So if you want...
Again, there's a value add here, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which is, this is something that you need to seriously consider depending on what your end user is going to be, especially, So if you're doing 1-bed studio flats for a social purpose, there would be probably less of a need to do than
whereas if you're doing
a 2-bed, for
a high-end HMO,
nice area, big cost, you need to have this.
So the caveat to this is interior architects can be fairly expensive.
Yeah.
So you want someone that is fairly cost effective, but designs materials that are suitable for your project, so they don't over spec it. And by doing that and having it all specced out, you should be able to get a more competitive price from your building contractor because the guesswork goes away.
Yeah.
So even though you're spending a bit more on that work, you should get the savings or the cost benefit from it.
If your finished schedule is costed out and the items there, the builder can just go, well, it's 10 of them.
Yep.
I'll just have 10 of them, please.
Yeah. Right. So 7-bed HMO, you also need an acoustic engineer or someone acoustic related, because you need to have acoustic tests done at the end of your project. I think it's like 10% of the rooms or something like that you need testing for, which means to comply with those tests, you need something designed to show that it will meet those test requirements. So yeah, you need an acoustic engineer. If you know the details, if you get it done on one project, you might be able to repeat those details again for a HMO.
Yeah, it might be conditioned as well.
Yeah, there might be planning conditions for acoustic requirements, so you got to look at those things.
Separation acoustic as well, you need to be careful of that, because there's a difference between testing for rooms generally and having acoustic separation. they can be sometimes two separate things, in which case you're going to have to be acoustic board and internal as well.
Yeah, so there might be building regulation testing, but also planning testing requirements as well. So you got to look at those.
I've been in planning committees when neighbours have turned up, and as part of the condition is about the committee, they've gone, well, due to the neighbours' concerns, we want to be acoustically separating these things and that thing, instead of those things, and they were planning conditions rather than the building regulations.
Yeah, they can be different requirements. Health and safety wise, you want a principal designer on board. Basically, any project where you've got more than one contractor, you need a principal designer from a CDM regulations perspective, which is basically any project that's, if you got a handyman plus one other person, then you need it basically to put that in perspective. So there's sign-offs.
It's confusing it being called principal designer though, isn't it? It's weird.
It's not a great title for it. I mean, because there's two sign-offs now. One's for building regulations, the other one's for CDM. Mm-hmm. So I think for the building regs one, a lot of architects can do that. So people can do both. They could do the safety, which is the CDM, and the building regulations stuff, or they could just do the CDM and the architect could do the building regs. So you need
there used to be a title CDM coordinator, and then it became principal.
That's right. It did.
I don't know why that changed really.
Well, the idea was that the CDM coordinator was just looking at safety, but not looking at the design aspect.
Right. I see.
So the idea for the principal designer was they were looking at safety before it got to site, so they could go like, right, so how are you actually going to build that thing when it's like hanging over a river or whatever?
Of course,
So it's to get the safety looked at earlier stage. That's the point of it. And you need an asbestos survey done. So you need an asbestos person to do a survey. Then, and you notice we've gone through a lot of people there.
A structural engineer.
Hang on, not finished yet.
Oh, right, okay.
I did. Structural engineer, because there'll probably be some knock-throughs for steel. If you're doing extension, you'll need
removing chimneys, doing extensions, or changing internal layouts which affect walls.
You're pretty much for any of these projects, you need some sort of structural engineering involvement.
Something in a roof. All of those types of things.
100%. I did miss that. So I got through all of those people. I haven't even got to a building contractor yet. And then the next, key person.
Well, this is the thing that the test that I have as part of my talk is who's your most important person. In the build in your program, and they go builder. Like, well.
On social media as well, it's like, I'm doing this HMO. Does anyone know any builders in this area?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people, not including project manager, before you get to the builder part.
Potentially.
And then this is the value of the project manager. Because they should know all of these things and know all.
We'll move on to that in a sec. So obviously you need a building contractor. You need the right sort of building contractor for your project.
This is your most expensive person as well, or company. So you do, like you said, the right
size, the right project that does a great job, and all these sort of things. That's the skill set to finding the right top.
And the principle here is, if you've got a 500 grand project and the builder that comes to view your project gives you a quote, even if it's the right number. But he's got 3 projects of 5 million and above, and your 500 grand project, where's his focus? If that builder turns up, he's just one man in a van, he might give you the right quote, but he's,
it's going to take him too long because he doesn't have the resource to do it quickly. So it definitely is that right niche.
And that's the critical thing. And then, but then again, the little questions like, if the builder's got 20 full-time PAYE staff and he's only got your project on one other, he's going to be chasing you every week for cash. It's a big concern. So you need to
so you need to look at the size of the business, what they do, what their turnover is.
The episode you did on that was excellent. And in the book, in terms of how to choose that. And I would highly recommend that people go.
We got more detail in the podcast episode and the book. So definitely read more into that if you want to learn more about that. Some other professionals, so like furniture suppliers, at the back end of the project, you got fire risk assessment people that are required.
It's funny.
Professional photographers as well.
It's so funny because I get every single time. So sometimes we get asked to project manage something, and I tell us I've got all these things. Here's my quotes. Here's my stuff. I just need project management. And I just literally go, well, where's your furniture? And they go, what do you mean? It's part of the bill quote. It definitely isn't. It isn't, and you're not allowed for it. And and then we start pulling the bill.
Definitely not. There are some contractors that will allow furniture, but most will not, and they just want someone separate to do it. Generally, the way we structure our contracts is we have like a bedroom furniture supplier. We do bed, wardrobe, desk, stuff like that, and then the rest of it we order in separate, and the builders just put it up basically. Right.
So professional photographer,
you want to, you're doing if you're doing a high-end product or not, you want the right sort of photos, you want it dressed professionally so you stand out with your lettings and marketing process and things like that. Sometimes a lot of the agents will have these people. Miss one.
Miss one. And as a steal, I'm going to give you 10 seconds or less to figure out if there's a professional there that you haven't had.
That I haven't talked about.
Yeah. This is because you've got this is thorough. It's a thorough list. Well, there's one thing that you always need before you're allowed to even rent something out.
What, gas safety cert?
No, well, that's part of the contractor, isn't it? That's part of the main contract. Normally,
EPC.
EPC.
EPC assessor. Oh, it's a good list, but you did miss that. So what we do is we get an EPC assessor on board with the design.
Yeah.
Check the design, make sure it meets what you're going after, which for us is just C or better, basically.
Yeah.
And then when you then get it built, you get that assessor back, and he's already assessed it, and he gives you the certificate.
Sign it off, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they do come up with some really great suggestions, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, so you're getting somebody in who can actually consult on a project from an EPC perspective.
Yeah, and if you're building up your specification or your finishes spec and things like that, you know, you can talk to them and work out, right, if I just use this type of light, this type of boiler, this type of insulation, you know, what sort of effect it makes, and it can really boost it up. And obviously, the higher your EPC rating, the more efficient the bills are going to be and things like that. So it is important. Yeah, well picked up.
So so for a 7-bed HMO, you need
there's a few professionals there, aren't there?
14 professional people.
Yeah.
For a 7-bed HMO.
Yeah.
So that's it's a hell of a list, isn't it?
We've moved away from the BDRR structure, haven't we? Because this is development style.
And this
is the sort of team you need.
And the reason, we need to be clear on this, is the reason here isn't just because you want a better build program. You have to meet the current building regulations. You have to meet, which is you have to meet the planning conditions. Yeah. And if it's a HMO, you'll need to meet licensing conditions. Some of these are build program requirements as well, so like asbestos survey. So
there's some simple ones that like a lot of investors may not engage, like a principal designer.
Yeah.
Even though under law you have to.
Yeah. And the risk is yours then.
And the risk is yours, health and safety wise, because I think ultimately you as a developer, you're sort of like the principal designer. So if something goes wrong, you know, and you get questions, or you know, you're getting sued because of an incident, and you haven't checked anything, you haven't checked any risk assessments, you're much more liable.
And the classic here is what used to be BDRR, where it was a few, maybe it was fire doors, very little internal changes, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Was project management traditionally, potentially by the investor, and it would go traditionally straight to a builder, and it'd be those two people who deliver, and maybe an architect. That would be it. Whereas now you're in this professional environment. Yes, you're getting a better product and probably better rent and better valuation based on your products and so on and so forth, but you have to treat it properly. Otherwise, we see it all the time. We if we offered a high value, high cost triage service, I think we'd make a lot of money, but it's a very stressful environment.
Very stressful, yeah, absolutely.
And we do get a lot of calls from people who've made significant mistakes. And it always comes back to the very first stages of planning and design and project management. And just making sure you've got your team. You're good.
Because I think a lot of people look at it, they go, right, I need an architect because I need drawings, I need a builder because I need get it built. So I think project managers and interior designers are key ones that get missed. So project managers, obviously, you can listen to episode where we talked about, I think it was number 34, as to why he's a project manager. So we've got more detail on that. And interior architects, you can listen to the episode with Louise Wynn as well as to why they're really important and why they actually can save you money as well.
Yeah, so there you go. Full team, 14 people.
That's the team,
One project, be there or be squared. And I think that's really comprehensive. Generally speaking, it might some people are, oh my God, that's going to be really expensive. Some of these it ranges from your build contracts, obviously at the big price, to some of these are a few £100. Some of these are, maybe 1,000 to 2,000. It is a range of pricing.
You want the right price. That's the balance. You got a budget to work to. You need these people to get your job done well. And you want to do it as
honestly,
efficiently.
If you find a good project manager who does your size and type of project, you're probably going to get all of that and probably get the right pricing for each of the elements.
Yeah, and don't forget, with that good project manager, you should really save money on the build aspect, the risk of variations, the risk of delay costs, and all these sort of things. It's hard to show on a figure initially, but once you go through a project and it's 50 grand over budget and 6 to 8 months late or whatever, you will really realize why that you should have had that project manager in place.
Yeah, because your build program is going to be more accurate, your finishes are going to be more accurate, your tender is going to be more accurate, all of those things. And we see it, where we put together a program and a tender and a pack and a price, and we get, I was expecting it to be this much less. I'm like, well, based on what?
Yeah.
What's that based on? Because, if you're using a good project manager, generally speaking, your price will probably, including the cost of that project manager, be less than if you did it yourself.
100%.
Generally. Right then. So question 2. What are the ways you can build out this team?
Right. So there's 3 key ways, and I do talk about this in the book in the section I wrote about this. So you can sort of basically, as the developer, get every team member yourself. So the people we went through there, you basically
find 14 of them.
You're the developer, you go and find 14 of those people, do it all yourself, basically. So that's one way. The second way is, if you get one key team member, say like a really good project manager, because they do these sort of projects over and over again, consistently, they should work with all these people or most of these people, so they can bring in, the rest of the key team that they've worked with. And the good thing about that is you've done a lot of due diligence there, because if they've done lots of projects with them before and they work really well, the chance of success is much higher. So that's number 2. But let's say the project manager, he's got like 8 of the 14 team members, so he might bring in 8 of the key people, then you find the others as well. So it's a bit of a hybrid. Or number 3 is like what we do as a source build managed team.
A turnkey provider.
A turnkey provider, basically. So they've got all the team. They do it all the time. They've just got all the team. You get them on board.
You're the CEO.
Yeah, you're just the CEO. You've just brought in one company, and they've got all of those team members ready to go. And if they've done it regularly and they've done a lot of these projects, it's a very high chance of success.
Yeah, and there are companies out there that do one of those 3 things. They might find it for you, or they might build it for you, they manage it for you. There's companies that do 2 of those things.
Yeah,
it's rare to find one does 3. I think, or 3. I think that's rare.
Which is why we set up the business, to find the properties, to manage the overall process, and have the lettings at the end. So something like you said,
the benefit of having somebody who does all 3 is they're appraising your project. Which at the end of it tells you what the rents are going to be and the price in the middle. So they're going to find it. They're going to give you a bill contract price based on what they found, and then they're going to let.
And then they're accountable to it, aren't they? So like, if that's the benefit, if they say the rents are going to be $750, and you get to the end, and they're like, they want to achieve those rents because they want to say what they said. Whereas if you have a source build element and they say the rent's going to be 800, and then they refer to another agency, or you find another agency and they're like, it's 725 a room, whatever. It's different, isn't it? So
Right. So, and if you were going to fund and engage each team member, how would you do that?
Yeah, so that was point number 1 before you're finding, say, the 14 team members. So always, I think the best ways are like referrals. So whether it's referrals from, say, other investors that do it regularly. And the other way to get referrals is from other team members as well. So we talked a little bit about before with the project manager. He can refer other people, but don't forget people like architects, planning consultants that do a lot of this space, M&E consultants, principal design. All these people work with other companies that do this. They might know other build contractors, and you can sort of just get referrals from them. Obviously, in both aspects, you need to do your own sort of due diligence and checks and balances and all those sort of things to make sure they're the right sort of team member. But referrals are a really, really good way. I always try to think like, is there a better way? I don't think so. No. Obviously, networking. If you go to networking events, you can meet people. So like Louise.
Or networking groups.
Networking groups as well. Yeah. Business networking and all those sort of things. So, like Louise, our interior architect, we met her at a networking event. She did a talk, and then we got to know her, like, that wasn't a referral. It was just purely we met
a few interior-based people on that we've met through networking. Didn't like most of them. And Louise was like a breath of fresh air, wasn't she?
Exactly. So, some of these professionals will do networking, business networking and things like that. Some might not. So you can get a few of them. Obviously, you can sort of advertise for these positions as well.
Yeah, I mean, whether you get the right level of responder is another thing, right? Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's some really reasonable advertising platforms out there. You need to get your job spec right, make sure that it's directly what that person is going to be doing. So it's consulting project manager, you need to be on the consulting side, not just general, because you put a project manager out there and you don't say construction in it and representing the client, you're going to get all people from IT and all these program managers
because
there's the NHS and
there's project management in construction and property to start with, and then it's into the right type of role for that.
Correct.
There's definitely construction project managers that can work really well on the client side. I mean, I started on the construction side, end up on the client side.
Yeah.
So like...
Yeah, and don't be afraid of that, by the way.
Yeah.
If somebody's coming out of a construction company, what a great time to get someone.
It's a really good skill set, because if you're like looking after the risk of the client and you understand the operations of the build company and what their drivers are and things like that, you can do it in quite a fair, reasonable way that protects your client.
Just a little bit of hand-holding for budgeting for the other contractors.
Yeah.
So it's budgeting for the architect.
And again, it's like if they're used to working with you don't want them to be too friendly with them, because because you're used to working with.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't want them to get too wrapped up in the build because they're used to talking to the brickies and the joiners and all those sort of things. So that's the key thing for that, and that's a bit of a management thing. But yeah, you can definitely advertise whether
in terms of solving problems on site. The problem is the same.
Yes.
Whether you work for the builder or the client.
Yeah, and if you
the difference is one of them might be trying to ramp the box up a bit, and the other one is, well, now you're a poacher term gatekeeper. You know how much that jewelry costs, so you can probably challenge.
Yeah, you can challenge it more. Definitely, I found that when I came out of the construction side,
like extra insulation and roof repair and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you've never worked for a building company as well, you might not know how to problem solve the on-site stuff as well and come to solutions.
I find that with because there's some project managers who've come through more of a professional position as well. So there's some architects who come into the project management phase. They don't know how to challenge the builders in the right way.
Yeah, they might be okay general management and they might be good at the design aspect because the architectural background.
Yeah,
the
design.
The on-site problem solving, they're not. They just don't have the experience as well enough of that. So,
yeah. They don't know the slips, trips, and falls, and the tips and tricks and techniques that these guys use to try and put an extra zero here and there. Okay, final question. Top tips.
Right, top tips. So I think the first one is just use people that niche in that field and do it all the time. Don't reinvent the wheel. If you find an architect that does, and you're doing a HMO conversion, and he's done a lot of HMO conversions, he's suited.
Yeah, I guess
there's no point trying to get an architect who does a lot of office designs and just try and get him to do HMOs because he doesn't know the regulations and the licensing and all those sort of things.
As an example of this, I saw one of our builders on just before Christmas at a networking event. I was like, how many projects he was done this year in general? And he was like, oh, maybe like 20. He was like, oh, that's pretty good. What were this? Is like all 6 to 7 bed HMOs. Like, well, that's all he's doing. That's the kind of guy that you want for your 6 to 7 bed HMO.
Yes,
project.
absolutely,
100%.
Yeah.
If he'd have said,
although he's doing 20, maybe he's doing too many. But obviously he didn't make sure he's got the team to deliver those. But yeah, definitely. If he's he's doing lots and lots of projects and he does them well, then that's perfect for it. All of those consultants that it's like I said, there's no point going for a project manager that's used to managing large high-rise office developments or something.
Very simple question that as well. How many projects have you done in the last 2 years and what were they?
Yeah, what type of projects, what size? Yeah,
I've been project managing, high-end labs at Sellafield or clean rooms at, for pharmaceutical. I'm like, well, it's not.
Don't try and put a round peg through a square hole type thing, is it? Even though they say they're a project manager.
I reckon you can get a round peg in a square hole. I don't think you can get a square peg in a round.
Square peg in a round. That's how they're all around. Right. So next top tip is pay for peanuts, get monkeys. However, expensive is not always best.
Yeah.
That's a very good way to do it. So there's lots of average builders out there, potentially average project managers, architects, all these sort of things that they'll cost you more than you'll save by using them.
And also, this isn't just for you. This is for the one down level for you as well. So if you've got a project manager, you want to be saying to them, listen, what I want to understand is which of their builders' teams they're going to be using as part of the tender.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to sub it out, who are they going to be using? Have they got a core team who does this? Are they going to be using those guys? Are they going to be subbing it out? Because what you'll find is they can have done 10 projects back to back, pristine. They're trying to grow their business. And all of a sudden, well, this one is a new client for us, so we're going to use a subby because they don't know who we are. And all of a sudden, you're at the mercy of the value of that subcontractor, not the main contractor.
That's right.
So you've just got to be careful on that pay peanuts, get monkeys scenario.
Yeah, and then on
that what you're paying for is the right thing. Yeah.
That's right. And then again, the most expensive, not always the best. So let's say you got 3 quotes from building contractors. One's 120K, one's 140K, another one's 200. The one that's 200 may be like that contractor that you mentioned before. That's like a really big size. They've got £4 million projects or whatever.
Or if they don't know its price.
Yeah, they don't know how to price. So because it's not very important to them, just because they're expensive doesn't mean they're going to do a good job.
Yeah, so if they're too big for the project, they're going to price it high. If they don't know what they're doing, they're going to add in loads of risk.
Yeah, that's right.
They're going to price it high. So
exactly.
So either of those is alarmed.
Yeah, because some people go like, you pay for what you get, so you pay more, you get better. No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily, yeah.
And then the other price of 120, maybe they're not a great builder. They don't pay the guys well enough. They've got they've just tradesmen or whatever.
Or you need to do your contract to interview properly, and you need to go through it because they may have missed.
They're just really efficient and they do it regularly. Yeah. So just because it's cheap, it doesn't mean it's the worst.
Yeah.
And it also, you've got to do all those checks to make sure it's right.
Yeah.
So maybe that price is maybe the most suited.
It depends just on contract to interview and why it's so important.
It really is. And then my third top tip is I think always talk to references. I think that's a very, very good check to do for whichever team member you're bringing in. if you're getting referrals, are they referring it because they've worked with them or they just know them? So if they're referring you because they just know of them, then you need to definitely talk to references.
Referring somebody who you know is because you love or like that person and you want them to have good things in their life. Referring somebody that has done work for you is because they've done a good job.
That's right. Yeah. But either way, you can get some extra references.
Also, what did they do?
Yeah.
Right, because there's a surface level question. Does anybody know a builder who can help me with this? Yes, this builder did work for me and he was great. Right, what does he do?
What type of project? Yeah.
Garage conversion. Well, that's a kitchen fitter who's gone into garages, generally speaking. It's not necessarily a builder who's got external and internal experience and roof cavities and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Steel and taking chimneys down. So, just bear that in mind. You've just got to be more than surface level on your question.
Yeah, and there's nothing against a builder who wants to move from that space into, say, HMOs as well.
Oh, no, not at all.
But the other question is, do you want to be the test dummy for that as well?
Well, that's going to come down to the recommendation and whether or not you got a strong project manager. Because we've had builders who've come to us who are branching out or trying to upgrade and things like that. And we've used them, and our project management strength has got it through the project, and then we've given them more chances. Sometimes we don't give them a second chance.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've helped them actually build their team out, and then that's actually been a positive. And now they're really good at what they do.
Yeah.
But it comes down to the strength of the problem solving in your team.
So it's a fair point. So if you've got a strong professional team but an average builder, you can sort of get through it. If you've got a poor or no professional team like project manager, you've got an average builder, it could be absolute disaster.
Yeah, if you're trying to save money on the project manager and the builder,
I
wish you luck.
Yeah, big
gamble,
risk,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big gamble. Absolutely. Right. Well, that's
us.
That's us for now.
Right then. So there we go. So how to build your BDRR professional team.
Yeah.
Tim Whip 2026. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Put a stamp on that. Guys, if you haven't liked and subscribed to our podcast, please do on whatever platform of choice you're watching us on. If you want to turn the notifications on, then it'll tell you when the next episode is out. To find our book, it's just search Financial Freedom BDRR on Amazon and you'll find it. And I hope you've enjoyed that today. I hope it's added some value to your property journey. And thank you once again, Tim. And we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.
See you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you once again for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast, sponsored by us at Property Portfolio Building. If you want to get in touch with us about today's podcast or any of the learning topics that we've gone through today, you can email us at podcast@invest-prop.co.uk or get in touch with us with whichever your social media platform of choice is. If you think you would add value to us as a guest on this podcast, you can please get in touch and let us know what you would be able to talk to us about. Other than that, we wish you well on your financial freedom journeys. And once again, thank you for joining us and we'll see you on the next one.